Kamala Harris will speak in Washington, D.C. this afternoon about President Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic. The Democratic candidate for vice president is expected to highlight the Biden-Harris plan to contain COVID-19 and to help rebuild the country. Joe Biden's choice for a running mate was celebrated as a historic move, particularly for historically black colleges, universities, and sororities. To get more insight on the significance of Senator Harris's ties to HBCUs and her sorority, along with the potential benefits of having her sorority sisters behind her, let us bring in Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover. She's the president of Tennessee State University and the international president of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. It's really great to talk to you because I've been so intrigued by the level of support that I have seen from Senator Harris's sorority sisters and her sorority in particular. So I want to start off by asking you about a letter you wrote earlier this month in response to comments made about the now Democratic vice presidential candidate's ambition. Early on, she was said to be too ambitious for the role. Explain to our viewers the implications of what you write is the misuse of this word, particularly when referring to black women.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, I did respond to the comments that were circulated in the media about Senator Harris being too ambitious. Ambitious is not a negative word. It's very much a positive. It's what we train students to do at historically black colleges and universities. We want you to be ambitious. That's the hallmark. That's our calling card. And when I see someone who is ambitious that we've trained in HBCU, I know we've done our job. So it is not a negative at all.
I love that. In her acceptance speech, Kamala Harris gave a shout out to her sorority, gave a shout out to historically black colleges and universities. I want to play a little bit about what she had to say.
Family is my beloved Alpha Kappa Alpha, our Divine Nine, and my HBCU brothers and sisters. Family is the friends I turn to when my mother, the most important person in my life, passed away from cancer.
So I am sure that you were elated when you heard that during her speech, but I want to get a sense from you of what you're hoping that this means, for historically black colleges, for black sororities. I think for the first time, a lot of people are going to be hearing about the Divine Nine and wondering where they came from and what they do and what the significance is. So are you hoping that this has sort of a long-term impact for the HBCUs and for the sororities and fraternities?
Yes, it's a doubly proud moment. It's a proud moment for HBCUs in that we see her coming full circle. She was educated at Howard University, a premier HBCU. She has excelled in her profession. She was initiated into Alpha Kappa Alpha at Howard University, and so Howard University is a great HBCU to start, and we have 106 HBCUs. So she gave a shout out to all of them, and then the Divine Nine. There are 9 African American sororities and fraternities, 4 sororities and 5 fraternities. So she includes them all because that's a network of about 5 million people. When you look at the 2 million in the organizations themselves, and then their spouses and children and relatives. So that's a large group of people for her to salute. And we were just doubly proud to hear that. And women everywhere. It's a step up for women around the country. It's a proud moment for black women. Oh, can you imagine the little Indian girls, the little Asian girls, the little black girls, the little girls in general? You can see it, you can be it. And so we're just really excited about this her acceptance as number 2 on the ticket.
I like that. If you can see it, you can be it. Explain to our viewers also, Dr. Glover, some of the history behind these historically Black sororities and fraternities. I know you mentioned a little bit of the Divine Nine, but explain how their purpose extends beyond the traditional Greek life that college campuses offer. Generally, people may not realize that with these Black sororities and fraternities, that their commitment to them exists long after they leave college, and the bonds that are formed within not just their local chapters when they are undergraduates, but the bonds that they form with their brothers and sisters around the country and around the world last many, many years past the time that they're in school. I mean, we have several members of Black fraternities and sororities here at CBS News, and they never stop talking about it, and they're in their 50s and 60s, some of them.
Well, it's a lifelong friendship. But may I back up and just make a statement that I have to say that Alpha Kappa Alpha does not endorse any candidates. Neither does anybody in the Divine Nine. In our individual capacities, we choose a candidate, support that candidate. But because of our tax exempt status, none of us will endorse a candidate. So I want to make sure that we were clear on that. But in individual capacities,
noted.
We're just proud of her and pleased to just pleased to embrace her and to embrace her efforts. But now the Divine Nine, there was a need for Alpha Kappa Alpha got started in 1908 when it was at the turn of the century, in the height of segregation, when there was just the NAACP was being formed, and there was just a time when it was needed to encourage Black women to excel. We need to tell them, listen, there's a better way out. Here's some ambition, we want you to just pick up on and run with. And so we look at some social justice issues. Let's see what we can do to help America as it helps Black people progress. And so Alpha Kappa Alpha was started, and then Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho. There are 4 sororities. So all of them have embraced Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, and all the 5 fraternities have embraced Senator Harris. And so it is a wonderful way that we work together for the common good, to tackle issues. We made statements about the police brutality, that we made statements about the racial inequality and the economic injustices. So the social aspect of the Divine Nine. And you mentioned a lifelong friendship. That's true. Some of my very best friends now, friends I made at Tennessee State University when I was there as a student. And so it doesn't stop afterwards. There are graduate chapters. Other sororities have alumni chapters. And so we make sure that we're here to serve. We're service organizations. And so part of that service is working together to tackle some issues, to make sure we have the Get Out the Vote initiative, to make sure the census forms are completed. So there are various community issues, so we serve the community.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to sort of underline. I know I have a number of friends that are part of different sororities and fraternities, Black sororities and fraternities, and the thing that has always impressed me is the commitment to service far beyond their time in college, that they are always sort of participating in some sort of charity work or something to do with politics, just a very active community and an emphasis on giving back. So with that being said, you've said that Black women, particularly when it comes to voting, have the power to change the trajectory of elections. I think that perhaps Joe Biden during the primaries might have gotten a pretty good taste of that, not just Black women, but the Black community. But Black women certainly, I have seen, I keep sort of thinking back to when Barack Obama was running for the first time for the presidency, and my mother-in-law and there's sort of like this old lady gang, that like never missed an opportunity to talk about Barack Obama. They probably all have 100 T-shirts each. When they get committed to a particular candidate, it's laser focus. So can we talk a little bit about the impact of the Black female vote?
Well, it's no secret that the Black women have been the backbone of this country for a long time. And when it comes to elections, when Black women go to the polls, they don't just go by themselves. they take their spouses, they take their family members, they take their sorority sisters, they take their church members, they take their community, their networks. So it's the secondary effects of who they take to the polls with them. And that is what was so powerful about the Black women vote. Not only do we engage in voter education and voter engagement, voter mobilization, voter registration, but when we mobilize and get the persons out to vote, I mean, it's an all-out effort. The Got the Vote effort this year is going to be dramatic because all the Divine Nine, we're combining our efforts together to make sure that we get the individuals to vote. And especially since there seems to be some vote intimidation, some threats to voting that's underhandedly going on, we're addressing that. Is an in-your-face kind of thing. We're addressing it because we want to make sure that nothing will stop the Black women and others from getting to the polls to vote this year.
Doctor, before we let you go, I want to ask you about something that I think is sort of interesting and indicative of the times that we live in right now. Given that we now have an African American and Asian, or a Black woman and an Asian woman running for the Vice President of the United States, we've had a Black president. There's been an emphasis, certainly in our industry, of having people that look like the candidates, covering the candidates, people that look like Anne Marie and I covering the candidates because of the perspective that we bring. And that was sort of laid bare when last year, you'll recall that Senator Harris, when she was running for president, visited Howard University and delivered a speech, and many of her sorority sisters were in attendance in that speech. And a reporter who was covering that event but was not familiar with Black sororities and fraternities tweeted that there are members of her sorority in the room and they are screeching when her name is mentioned, and they didn't know that it wasn't screeching. It was sort of the way that your sorority, the sisters, greet each other, with what is known as skiwi. And so it was sort of an interesting moment, but it also sort of exposed the fact that Black reporters have a unique perspective when it comes to covering the issues that are front and center in this election in particular. So can you just explain to our audience what skiwi is? Because I'm guessing that as Senator Harris takes to the road, she's probably going to be hearing that often whenever she comes into contact with people who are part of her sorority.
It's just an endearing term that we use sometimes to greet each other. We try not to do it in business settings, but it's just a way. This is a love call that we say to each other on college campuses and sometimes outside of college campuses. And so it's just that's it. It's a way we speak to each other sometimes, especially at the undergraduate level. It's at the graduate. Once you've graduated, there's a lesser use of the word skiwi, but it's still used throughout our sorority to just say hello. And that's basically it.
Love it.
It's a love.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that question, Vlad. I feel like this country is going to learn a whole lot of new things, a whole lot of new words, a whole lot of new behaviors. This is going to be great. All right, Glenda Baskin Glover, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.